Hi guys, so I've been trying to think of any previous movie I might have seen that doesn't have human beings in it. Finding Nemo? I feel like there should be something. I've been watching movies for over 40 years, and yet right now my mind's drawing a complete blank. So a few years ago, Dan Trachtenberg completely revitalised the Predator franchise with the release of Prey, and it would have been very easy for him to just try and copy that success, do a Prey 2, or maybe a film similar to Prey but with a different skin, so maybe the Predator dropping into World War II or Samurai Times or whatever. But even though Trachtenberg has kept his hands on the series since Prey, he's seemingly decided only to do further films if he can come up with really original stories. So last year he did the Predator Killer of Killers anime film. That had never been done before with Predator. And this year he's returned, or just at the end of last year I should say, he's returned to live action with Predator Badlands. That anime film was fine, but I don't think it really stoked up that much interest. As a little aside, I did a review of Predator Killer of Killers, and it turned out to be my second least successful video of 2025. So ultimately, I just don't think people care about Predator anime. And not to digress too much, but if you're curious as to what my absolute least successful video was in 2025, that would be Hell House 3 Lake of Fire. But it's a crap movie, so I don't begrudge anybody who decided not to click into that one. But getting back to Predator Badlands, Trachtenberg has come up with an absolute doozy of a story here, and it's definitely never been done before in this series. For the first time ever, we have a Predator as the absolute main character. It had been done slightly before in Alien versus Predator, where ultimately you ended up with a final girl working together with the Predator in the second half of the movie. But it still felt like that lady was the main character and the Predator was just coming along for the ride, kind of a thing, riding shotgun. In Predator Badlands, the main character of Dex is absolutely 100% the main character, and there are no humans in this film at all. So what we've got here is this guy, a Predator, and he's very much the runt of the litter. His father has no respect for him because he's a little bit shorter than his brothers. So to prove himself, Dex flies to the toughest planet known to predators in the entire universe. And no, it's not Earth. It's somewhere called Ghana, I think. It's got an alternative name as the Death Planet because it's full of dangerous species of animals and vegetation. It's an absolute nightmare, this place, as Dex discovers the minute that he touches down. He's really struggling to survive down there. But luckily, he comes across this broken android. It's sort of still functioning, but it's cut off at the waist. And so Dex starts to use this android as a helper, and his fortunes start to improve as the movie goes on. And then he meets this other creature that's friendly, and they start forming this little team. And I guess he sort of realizes as the film goes on that maybe the whole Predator ethos of always working alone isn't always the best way forward. So there's definitely a message, I think, in this film, and that is something like humans are bad, always work with AI instead. No, I don't think that's it, actually. I was a bit worried in the first 5 minutes of this because the opening scenes are easily the worst section of the entire thing. So we see Dex fighting his brother in an extended sequence, and it looks kind of awkward having a predator fighting a predator and they're jumping around, and the movement feels really weird, that there's just no weight to this, and it kind of feels like Avatar at its worst. But then once we get to Dex actually landing on the planet Ghana for the main portion of the movie, things are all right after that. I guess they haven't quite figured out how to have predators fighting predators yet, but predators fighting other things, that's absolutely fine. But I had a lot of thoughts about this first 5 minutes. It's easy to forget that in the first Predator movie, you never actually see the predator jumping between trees. You might see the treetops rustle. You might occasionally see the predator in invisible form jumping. But we're never up personal watching the actual movement. It's the same in the second film for the most part. You don't really see the predator jumping between buildings. It's all done from afar. But now that the Predator is the main character, we're right there, seeing the movement of the jumping around and stuff, and it looks a little bit unnatural. Like, Predators are just too bulky to do that kind of thing, so I think they need to have a think about that going forwards. But nevertheless, once we get to Ghana, my brain just adjusted to the way that the Predator moves in this movie, and I completely enjoyed the rest of it. There's so many cool new creatures and plants in this film. Like, Dex is just up to his neck in it. The minute that he touches down, this weird thing attacks him straight away, and then 2 minutes later something else attacks him. Like, the movie just keeps spitting out these really original organisms that you've never seen in movies before, and it's super cool. Although I think they missed a little bit of a trick, because I would have liked to have seen the eye creature from Alien Earth appear in this film. I think it would have fit really well for the eye creature to have turned out to have been from Ghana. If you've never seen Alien Earth, by the way, let me tell you, the eye creature, I don't know if it's got an official name, but that thing just completely steals the show from the actual alien completely. But alas, we don't see it in Predator Badlands. But at some point, I think we're going to have to find out how frightening it would be to have a predator taken over by that eye creature. Even though we don't have the eye creature, the film still very much confirms that this is happening in the same universe as all of the Alien films, because the android Thea, it's established early on that she's a Weyland-Yutani model. The company has sent a bunch of androids down to this planet to explore and see if they can bring back anything valuable, because Weyland-Yutani recognises that Ghana is way too dangerous for humans, so they've sent androids instead. I think in the past, people have liked to theorise that the AVP films are like an alternative reality. They're not really canon like all the other movies, but I think Predator Badlands just comes out and says, no, all these films are happening in the same universe, and that's fine by me. I think we can have solo Alien and Predator films, things like Alien Romulus and Predator Badlands. It's not as if the aliens and predators ever need to come across each other that often, maybe occasionally. But yeah, by all means, have all of these films in the same universe. I don't think it's a problem particularly, and Predator Badlands just goes with that. Weyland-Yutani is not just thrown in there as an Easter egg. Like, the company name is mentioned again and again throughout this film. Dex and Thea are really cool characters. Thea already, after one watch of this movie, is one of my favourite androids of any alien-related product. She's really cool. And even though Dex is very cold and focused on his mission in the beginning, I think Thea brings out the best of Dex's personality as the movie goes on. And by the end, I just loved these characters completely. And it's an absolute masterstroke to have Dex be a little bit shorter than your average Predator, for two reasons. Firstly, it just means that you can have a normal guy in the suit. You don't have to have like a Kevin Baker Hall, whatever that guy's name was from the original Predator. You don't have to have somebody like that who's like 9'11" in the suit and he's got like gangly legs and he doesn't look quite right. And secondly, I think having a shorter Predator, it's never going to make him less tough just because he's of a particularly short height. This idea that the taller you are, the tougher you are is absolutely ridiculous, right? There's a bit of a Jean-Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris sort of feel to this Predator and the height of him. So very naive, I think, on the father's part to dismiss the potential of Dex. And another cool thing about all this is Predators fighting androids in this movie. And I don't mean the Predator fighting Thea, that never happens, but the Predator does fight some of the other androids that are part of Thea's platoon, and it looks so cool. It never even occurred to me before what it would look like to have Predators fighting androids, but it works because an android can make a much better go of it than a human. So watching the two collide was fascinating to me, much more so than just watching a Predator fighting a Predator in the beginning. There's another great character in this who is called Bud. At least I think that's his name. This is not a human, by the way. It's not a zombie either, if that's what you were thinking. I'm not going to tell you what Bud is. You'll have to discover that for yourself. But I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. He's like something that you might see in your average Star Wars movie, like something that's been designed to sell toys, maybe. And if you've never seen Predator Badlands, you might be thinking at this moment, oh my God, what have they done? But you needn't worry, honestly. Bud is great. The closest thing I can think of to him in recent times is possibly Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Bud sort of performs a similar function in Predator Badlands in terms of where he fits into the group dynamic, if you like. But God, I loved him. I really did. There's so much great writing in this film, not just in terms of how Bud is used, but just the unpredictability of so many different scenarios in the film. There's this one fight sequence where Thea's legs are still detached from her body, and yet she can still control them. So we've got this fight where there's an enemy android in the middle, and then on either side of it are Thea's legs and Thea's upper torso, and they're both laying into this thing, and it looks really good. It genuinely looks like this is actually happening. It's not just CGI or anything like that. I was just so engaged by this planet overall and all the weird and wacky things that are on it. Honestly, I don't remember any of the actual Predator planets being this entertaining. So back when the 2010 film Predators came out, the one with Adrian Brody, all I remember from that film is a bunch of trees and a bunch of predators. There wasn't actually much to see other than that. And then in AVP Requiem, we briefly see one of the Predators' planets. I don't know if the Predators have more than one planet, but we see it briefly at the start of AVP 2, and it just looks like molten lava rock, like a pretty boring landscape. So bottom line, forget the Predators planets. Let's just have more films and TV shows set on Ghana, because this place is absolutely top notch. I want to see what happens when aliens land on Ghana. Would they be like the top dog, so to speak? I'm not convinced they would, because the creatures and stuff on this planet are so formidable. It would be fascinating to see how the aliens would get on in this place. Damn it, I've got to know. For all that I have praised this movie, I still think that Prey is better. Badlands is fun and enjoyable, and it put a smile on my face. It left me wanting more. But Prey has a better atmosphere. It's more exciting. I just think it's the slightly superior product. And yeah, I still think that Trachtenberg has gone 2 for 2 with these movies. This guy is doing such a great job at breathing new energy into this series. Is it possible to breathe energy? I don't think it is. Never mind. Scratch that last remark. Apparently, he has one more great idea for a Predator movie, and I will make the prediction that he will be allowed to make that. I think Badlands did make some money at the box office. It didn't like knock it out of the park or anything, but I think it made its money back and a bit more on top. So hopefully we will see another Predator movie by this same guy coming at some point. A couple of other things before I start to wrap up. So firstly, this movie has a fairly low age rating. It's like the equivalent of PG-13 or 12 in the UK. But don't let that worry you at all. I think the only reason why it's got that sort of rating is because there's no violence on humans. But this still feels like a violent movie. It just so happens that all the violence is directed against androids and predators and things that go bump in the woods. And the other thing I quickly wanted to mention, and this is more like an anecdote actually, but when this film was first announced, I should say, I think I got the wrong end of the stick about what it was about. I heard the word Badlands, and I just presumed that it was set in the South Dakota Badlands. So I got this image of like a predator coming down to Earth and then meeting up with a woman, and then they go on some kind of road trip down Route 666, and maybe the police would be after them, and there'd be like this Thelma and Louise type vibe to it. And I thought, okay, that sounds all right. But looking back, I can't remember if I just made all this up in my head purely from the word Badlands, or maybe there was an early article which wrote all this and I'm remembering that. But certainly the movie that I watched the other night was nothing like a Predator movie set in South Dakota. So yeah, that was humorous to me. Maybe Trachtenberg can do something like that. Who knows, going forwards. Right, it's time to get to the bag of terror so I can show you what score I'm going to give Predator Badlands. Here's the bag. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Michael Myers carving knives out of 5. This is a rollicking good ride, thoroughly recommended, so check it out. It's free on Disney if you have a paid subscription. You know what I mean, so check it out on there if you'd like to see it. There are now 9 Predator movies, believe it or not, if you include Killer of Killers, the anime film, and the AVP films. I'm not going to do a ranking this time, but I think if they do one more in the future, that'll get us to 10, and then I think that'll be a good time to do a ranking. But for now, I will bid you farewell. I'll be back soon to do another review. In the meantime, cheerio, bye-bye.